My name is Tony Sabolka. I'm both a pastor and a janitor. And through the years, I've had to do some physical work to support to add to my family support. And in the process, I had to use the right shoulder a real lot. And also, when I started taking chiropractic, I had some other medical complications. Namely, I had serious scoliosis that you can perhaps see in my spine, a curvature of the spine that I developed through the years, especially as I would spend a lot of time at the computer. And I learned that my back was sagging. Also, about 10 years ago, I developed scoliosis and osteoporosis. The osteoporosis meant that my vertebrae were two of them were collapsing. A chiropractor in Wisconsin Rapids discovered the problem with the lack of calcium in my bones, and the bones were starting to squeeze down. So she put me on a good program to do two things. One, to rebuild the strength of those bones so that they wouldn't collapse. And the other was to take care of the straightening of the spine, the building of the ligament tissues, and so on. And so when we moved to the Portage, Wisconsin area, we continued our work at Dr. Blau's. I'll let Ellie tell you who she is.
Hi, I'm Ellie Sabolka, this man's wife, and I started with Dr. Blau about the same time my husband did. But the most important part of Dr. Blau is just on March 3rd of last year, I fell and broke both my wrists and my back. And the hospital didn't even realize that my back was broken until I came and had x-rays with Dr. Blau. I was in such pain. And he said, well, your back is broken. And I went, oh, that's why it hurts. So through much prayer and through Dr. Blau, I am walking today and with no pain, and he has worked on my wrists. My wrists are working, so I appreciate what Dr. Blau has done for me in keeping me going.
One of the things that I've learned through the years is that a person needs a strong foundation, a solid base, and I've been taking some physical therapy through one of the men at Dr. Blau's clinic. His name is Mike. And Mike puts me through therapy, building a solid core. And this has helped me. I decided that I've also had a blockage in my arteries in my heart. I think it was 4 years ago, I had 3 coronary arteries nearly completely occluded. Had surgery and had to rebuild the heart as well as other parts of my body. And through some of the exercises, through some of the counseling, working on space for my chest, I've been able to build a heart to a high degree, I believe. Just yesterday, I put it through a pretty good test. I've also joined a fitness club, and I do exercises, including high intensity exercises. When I first started some of the recent series of high intensity exercises, I learned it was hard for me to put that heart through 30 seconds of real intense work. But I've learned from a doctor named Dr. Merkla and from others about the advantage of high intensity exercises. They're more important in their anaerobic condition than are just the long, hour-long aerobic type of exercises. Anyhow, I knew it would be a great goal for a man my age, I'm near 80, to be able to do like up to 6 of those peak high-intensity intervals. And I started with 2 last November. I was up to 3 earlier in the month. I'm doing 4, and I'm thinking, well, by next month or so, I'm going to be able to do 5, and maybe, hopefully, before I finish building up my heart, I might be able to do 6. Well, I did 4 yesterday, and it felt like I could have perhaps done a 5th. But I thought I'll just wait a while, give that heart some more time to strengthen. So I've learned through Dr. Blau's office that there's a combination of building a solid core, figuratively speaking, a core of muscles, a strong back, and that. But I've learned that a core consists of all parts of a person's human health, his heart, his skeleton, and to a high degree our frame of heart and our frame of mind. One thing I appreciate about this clinic is that they help us build a sound foundation in our peace with God. God is welcome in this place. And I think it's the bottom of every human's core is to know that we have a strong foundation in God. But He gives us responsibility to build strong foundations in our skeleton, in our muscles, in our heart, in our nutrition, in every part of our life. And that's been a great experience for me right here at Blau Clinic.
Another thing that Dr. Blau has been so important to me is when I come here, I feel like I'm at home. He's a very caring person in every sense of the word. I can talk to him, and as he's working on me, and feel that nothing I say is not important to him, and he listens closely, because a lot of times when we're speaking, we say some things that give him a clue to what is wrong, and I thank him for that, because oftentimes it's hard to express how we feel or what the situations are. So I find a real homey atmosphere and a real loving atmosphere here that helps me grow.
One thing I've noticed is that Dr. Blau is diligent to make measurements of our progress. And he shares the results of those measurements with us. There are a couple ways in which I can measure changes. I mentioned one, that I can do a number of high-intensity exercises, which I couldn't do a few years ago. But also we measure how flexible our shoulder joints are and so on. My shoulder from the many, many cycles of janitor work was quite stiff. I've been amazed especially in the last couple of months, how much farther I can do these. I can tell before even the doctor takes the measurements that I'm flexing my joints much farther than I could a couple of months ago. And so it's good to know that it's just not speculation, it's just not my emotions that think maybe I'm healthier, but we can measure and see with instruments that there are positive changes. I'm thankful for that.
Good. I would definitely recommend this clinic because of the personality and the loving care that you get here.
And I would agree. I think if we're healthy, we're not healthy unless we're a community. And I think that this clinic has a great influence on the community of this part of Wisconsin, so I highly recommend the Blau Chiropractic Clinic.